I've got one that can see.
The globe, and the heliocentric model of the solar system. What a truly amazing accomplishment of man. It took the collective efforts of some of the greatest minds of all time, over 2,000 years, to invent this model. It was a reverse-engineered masterpiece. Every objection to the model always met with just another cleverly disguised reverse-engineered explanation. For example, the lacking stellar parallax was rationalized by the stars being trillions upon trillions of miles away. A bunch of zeros were added to the end of their numbers to explain away what any common sense would refute. What these men did was invent a dual system of astronomy, a second model of the universe that can explain everything we observe, a model built on perfected mathematics that have no actual relevance to the truth. As George Orwell once wrote in his prophetic book, 1984. "What are the stars?" said O'Brien indifferently. "They are bits of fire a few kilometers away. We could reach them if we wanted to, or we could blot them out. The Earth is the center of the universe. The sun and the stars go round it." When we navigate the ocean, or when we predict an eclipse, we often find it convenient to assume that the Earth goes round the sun, and that the stars are millions upon millions of kilometers away. But what of it? Do you suppose it is beyond us to produce a dual system of astronomy? The stars can be near or distant, according as we need them. Do you suppose our mathematicians are unequal to that? Have you forgotten doublethink? These men invented a dual system of astronomy, and these men marveled at their accomplishments. Finally, we shall place the sun himself at the center of the universe. The globe, heliocentrism, the Big Bang Theory, evolution, all pseudoscientific lies taught to us as fact, and we are taught lie after lie after lie. They need to keep us completely ignorant and uninformed, and for the exact same reason that they didn't educate the slaves. An uneducated slave was much easier to control than an educated one, and slavery still exists today. It has just evolved beyond the ball and chain. Instead of forced labor, we are allowed to have the illusion of education, and we are allowed to choose our own profession. This illusion of freedom and this illusion of choice makes us more productive. The more productive we are, the more taxes we can pay. We are all just small cogs in a massive machine. We are their slaves. We are their debt slaves. So like any slave, why would they ever tell us the truth? Knowledge is power, and he who holds the knowledge holds the power. They pretended to give us educations, but all it was a watered-down curriculum designed to prevent your mind from reaching its true potential. All it was government indoctrination, and people gobbled up lie after lie. All these lies serve one master agenda, and that's to remove God from creation. Their answer for a randomly created, godless universe was the Big Bang Theory, which requires spherical-shaped stars and planets formed through gravity to even be plausible. It doesn't work if the Earth is flat. How could they go about creating a theory of how a flat Earth, with all the heavenly bodies revolving around it, could be randomly created without the intelligence of a supreme being? They cannot. A flat, geocentric Earth proves creation, and this is a huge problem for the people who possess the power here on Earth. And here's what it all boils down to. No one can serve two masters. Either you will hate one or love the other. No one can serve both God and money. No one can serve both God and greed. The Bible clearly describes a flat and stationary earth with boundaries, a beginning and an end, as all things have. So if the earth were flat, it would prove God's word, and Satan is constantly telling us the opposite of what God's word tells us. All of Satan's lies blind us from the truth and lead us further away from God. They work hard to try to hide God from us because no one can serve two masters. They want money to be your master. They need you to be a debt slave to their grand monetary Ponzi scheme because it is you, the common worker, that keeps this matrix alive and functioning. If people knew 100% that God is real, that there truly is an afterlife, and that this physical state we are in is only a tiny blip on the radar, they would stop showing up to their dead-end jobs working for slave wages, and they would stop being debt slaves to the bankers who rule over us, and people would choose to serve God instead of money. the entire system would collapse. These carefully manufactured lies all serve one agenda, and that is to hide God, so that we will continue to serve them and their debt-based money system and not God, because no one can serve two masters.
These same people, part of the, I understand you said they've killed off most of the Merovingian line, but the Carolingian line are basically now the nobility and the royalty?
There's no doubt about that. I mean, even today, they go into these genealogies, and sometimes you'll find that this odd thing happens when they pick, for instance, a lieutenant general or governor for Canada who speaks on behalf of the Queen's representative in her dominions, which is up in Canada and Australia, New Zealand, and so on. When you go into their coat of arms, like the last one it was in, it was actually, they had symbols there from the Merovingians family tree. I thought that was rather interesting. So you'll see it in symbology. You understand, these characters will give you more in symbology than they will ever in the written word. And that's how they can put things right in plain sight. And most folk don't understand, because they can't come out and just admit what they're up to or what they've been up to all this time. And if you go back into Pythagoras, for instance, and even Plato, these guys all were trained in ancient Egypt. Ancient Egypt, in the mystery religions, it was only one stopping place. Because we find in Herodotus, he talks about it. We find, again, Plato too talks about it. You went for initiation in Egypt, and then you went to India in ancient times for a higher or more education in the mystery religions, and then you went to the Levant, as it called, that area of Jerusalem and so on, and then you came back. But what Egypt exported mainly was revolution in other countries which they did not already control. That's an interesting concept. And Pythagoras himself, when he went back to open up his school after being in Egypt and being taught, his school was burned down when the people realized that he was trying to get the young students to turn against the parents and the old society, to destroy the old society. And they even taught, they brought in females too, and they had to marry them off, to try to marry them off to noble people, noble families, and start to influence the decision-making policies and politics and so on. When that was found out, they turned against him. And that time, he went to Crotona to open his school. It was a part of Italy at the time. That was the Greek Empire. And they burned it down. And the same thing happened eventually with other philosophers from the same school who were all taught in Egypt. You all know about drinking of the hemlock for Socrates, for instance. And Socrates, too, was also blamed for trying to corrupt the youth. What it was again, same technique. He would also teach the young females in education, basically how to seduce the nobility, get them in, get them married, influence policy, and also how to overthrow the ruling establishment of his time. And then when you follow it up into the Neoplatonic movement that broke out in about AD 300 in Alexandria, it was the same thing. Fascinating writings came out at that time, about AD 300, of the same group, a continuation of the same group, where philosophy was to be the main religion, and philosophy would rule through academia and eventually through revolution, always turning the young against parents, through millennia, if need be, to bring in a world where they themselves, the best suited, the wise men, if you like, would rule the world, because the public were just too stupid to do it themselves. And they also believed in a form of evolution long before Darwin, because it was closely linked. The philosophies were closely linked, as I say, with not only Egypt, but that also of India. And if you look into Hinduism, there's not much difference in their understanding of evolution, from slime and so on into insects and creatures, then people. There's not much difference between that and Darwin. So there's a definite connection.
I've got Richard in Alabama. Are you there, Richard?
Hi. I want to ask you a question about the way John McCain shakes hands and signs autographs. He always
Yeah.
holds his elbows up high. Is that a Masonic symbol or something?
The Masonic symbol you'll see every day on television. You'll see them as hand to hand. They step in with the right foot, that's toe to toe, knee to knee. They hug each other. The left hand goes to the elbow, then to the back, then they whisper in each other's ear. You see it all the time between all these top people across the planet. Yeah, if you see them, the politicians meet, and I saw that even during the Soviet era. It was quite funny to watch, where presidents would meet the presidents from the Soviets and so on, and you see arch enemies meeting other arch enemies, supposedly, and you see them facing each other. They give the right handshake. The left arm goes to the elbow. The right foot goes into the right foot to touch foots, and then it's knee to knee. The left hand moves from the elbow off the other guy, and it goes to his back, and it's cheek to cheek, and then they whisper something in each other's ear. That's your common. Actually, it's their 5 points. They call it the five. That's the low meaning of the lower 5 points of Masonry. There's higher ones as well, but that's a low-level one. But you see it all the time as they go through the routine for the public.
But the elbows up is not a Masonic symbol.
It depends if he's holding his forearm across his chest. Generally they use a sort of 45 type degree, sometimes a 90 degree.
Well, I just noticed McCain does all his autographs with his elbows up, and he does his handshakes with his elbows held high.
Mm-hmm. It could be, but I don't know. Generally, you'll see them too. They often make the square with their foot. They call it the square, where they display their feet to create again a 45 to 90 degree angle. There's lots of different signs they use, including verbal signs. Yeah. But they'll all be Masons for sure at that level. I mean, you can take that for granted. Yeah. Okay. So that's what happens. We have systems within systems and brotherhoods within brotherhoods. And you can't really get up the top. It's well known that even at the bottom, if you want to get ahead in society, you join one of the lodges, because you get up the ladder, as they say, in finance and success. You also cut petty bureaucracy. That's what they let known to the public. You can bypass a lot of the petty paperwork and get things done very quickly. If you're in a good lodge, you can go to the bank manager and get a loan the same day. It's all approved, and it'll be in your hands before the bank shuts. There's lots of little perks they get too, tax breaks and various other things too, if they say all the right things to the guy that comes and assesses their home. So you can't get to the top without belonging to one of these particular organizations. And same with the females too, the side lodges they call them. They don't get into the higher secrets, although they think they do. That's well explained by Mackay in his Encyclopedia of Freemasonry and others. But anyone on any board in your area or town or whatever, male or female, will belong to the local lodge.
Does the Prince Lodge have any real power?
Yeah. You're talking about the Prince Hall Lodge.
Yeah.
Yeah, Albert Pike authorized the startup of it, and it does have power. Again, it's to remember, it's an elitist organization that pulls men out of the masses. So even though they think you're following someone who looks like you and appears like you, he believes himself he is superior, and that's why he's been pulled out of the masses. They give you your leaders. All peoples have them. They have them in China too, and Japan.
talk about a fish story. Man, and they're buying it.
One day, Jesus is coming. You may be at church. You may be at work. You may be asleep. God grant that you will be ready when he makes his personal appearance. My God, what if his appearance occurs